So it's kind of like when you cut your grass, if you have a lawnmower and you start at one point, and your yard's this big, and you start your lawnmower here and you go all the way to the end, everything's nice and smooth, right? If you were to start your lawnmower and go like half a strip and then stop and then another strip, everything has separation in it, so it's not as smooth. It's just like drawing a line on a piece of paper. If you start here and go all the way across, it's smooth. If you start here and try to do that same line and you pick your pen up and put it back down, it's never smooth. So when I'm clipping the dog, I think of that the same way. So when I'm clipping and I start my clipping work, I want to go from point A all the way to point B with one stroke. So for instance here, oh, and by the way, I just switched to 0. This is the 5/8 inch snap-on comb. But what happens is, especially on your drop-coated breeds, if you do this and you pick up, you'll see a lot of groomers do this, they're just working their way at the coat. Every time we pick this snap-on comb up away from the coat, you create separation in the coat. So I'm going to hold her tail up, I'm going to start right behind the withers, I'm coming all the way down, and if you have a dog that has the carrot tail, or you have hair that you need to fill in, say it's a Bichon, you want to leave this hair to fill in with the tail that's carried over the back. When you get right in front of the tail, if you'll come off at an angle to the side. So I make one long stroke and then I go off at an angle to the side. So and I do that on both sides. Am I doing this dog for one demo or two? No, I just open half of her. So what happens there is you wind up leaving the fill right in between, or right between the tail and the top line. And that will help them create your tail set. So in these dogs, they should have a Marcel wave to the coat, so they should have some texture on the body. But what I want to do, nice long smooth strokes with the tail up. I'm going to come at an angle from the point of hip to the point of rump, so I can take this and come straight off. Make that line nice and clean. And that will help set our angulation in on the back leg.
This is the first time he's ever done it very good.
Second. Actually, where we live, we hardly have any of these.
We don't need, that's why I took it down for this demo and not me.
So what I'm doing now, when you're clipping and you're trying to get everything nice and smooth, always keep a hand on your opposite hand on the dog to make it tight. I see so many people, like when they're shaving dogs down or whatnot, or they're trying to do a skirt or leave an underline, that they have such a hard time getting in this area. And it's so easy to get in this area. All you have to do is take the skin on the top of the back and just roll it up. So you just pull the skin this way, and then you expose all that, and then you can come down and clip it. But if you want to make sure the skin is tight or taut, what Sue says.
Especially if you have a dog that's chubby, because when you have those rolls and the clipper hits those rolls, you get that, and you end up with these lines in them, so you really have to flatten that out.
So I want to leave just a slight underline on her. So when I get down to this area, I'm not leaving a skirt. I'm going to roll it right up underneath and then just skim that or blend that off. So this should be a nice, strong, muscular dog when we're finished with it. It shouldn't look weak in body at all. So we want to leave some substance on the body. So now when I get...
Dinner, we're ready.
So we want to give her, I'm doing a short pet trim, but I want to give her some style as well. So right now what I want to do, I want to make a nice transition from my body coat into my legs. So I'll start that. I know I want my legs to be a little bit wider and more powerful. So when I come in over the hips, I'm just going to blend this off, and then I'll use another blade to set my legs in with. So right now I'm going to set angulation in, so I'm going to find the point of rump here, right where that bone is. I'm going to come in with my 5/8 inch, or my 0. I'm going to come in, and their hock should be well let down, so we're going to go all the way off the back of this dog's leg.
And he says I talk funny.
0? What do y'all say?
0. We don't say y'all either.
I forget who we are. Well, what all y'all should do is 0 snap-on comb. What do you say? 0?
There you go.
0.
You're putting the accent.
See, we separate all of our words, so it's easier to pronounce. 0. Insurance. July. Okay, so if y'all have any trouble with my translate, or Sue can translate for me. Sue, I'm using a.
Zero.
Okay. So I'm coming right off the hop.
Where do you come from?
Where I come from?
State.
Oh, Tennessee. Tennessee. Yeah.
Where?
Right outside of Memphis. So I'm just coming off the hop, and then also I want to come right around this dog's hip and just kind of blend this leg in. This will make it easier when I go to set in the rest of my leg. And you should be able to, with these snap-on combs, the way they are with the stainless steel, you should be able to get through this coat pretty easily and get it to look nice and smooth, almost like it's been scissored, and not have to do a whole lot of work going back through the coat. So I know I want to get rid of a lot of this tail hair that's on the sides. So I'm still with my same snap-on comb. I didn't say zero.
What would you do if your blade started to like drag? What would you do?
If my blade started to drag, I would take it off. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Take it off? My blade didn't drag.
But what if it did?
Okay, if my blade started to drag, I would take it off and make sure there's no hair here. A lot of the plastic snap-on combs, they get a layer of hair here. You keep having to take them on and off.
My stainless steel kit. I'm just telling them.
Oh, really?
I was at the wall food. My hair gets stuck in there, and I have to take it off and pull it out.
I heard that if your blade drive is shot, you have to replace your blade
Yeah.
drive.
But that's not true because I have a brand new clipper, and it's still doing it. So
Really?
if my new clipper
Is it
blade
a
drive, something's
certain
wrong.
snap-on comb or is it all of them?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I mean, but a certain number.
Party?
The two is the one that gets stuck in.
Huh. Because see, I just did all this and didn't stick it all.
I think it depends on the rules.
Yeah, it depends on the coat. A lot of times, I'll usually spritz them with an anti-stat spray before I do it. That helps a lot, so it doesn't build up. But
Sometimes the brand new blades too have like that, it's almost like a oily coating on them, and that I think causes, so I like, when I get my new blades, I like to make sure I wipe them down because that stuff tends to build up a little bit. Oh, yeah.
yeah, your blades are low. One thing, if y'all have the Bravura clippers or the Arco or the Moser or whatever, these, this is a little, not to do with seminar, but a lot of times they'll stop working on like a 10 blade setting or a 9 blade setting. There'll just be one setting that it stops cutting on.
Yeah.
Y'all have that happen a lot?
All the time.
And so my thing is, if you think about it, if it cuts on a 40 blade setting and won't cut on a 10 blade setting, it can't be the cutter. The cutter has to be sharp because otherwise it wouldn't cut on one and not the other, right? So what happens is, as you move this, because they have the adjustable setting, as you move this back and forth, it's kind of like what you were talking about with the hair sticking. As you move this back and forth, you pull hair down into this cutter blade, and so when it gets to a certain blade that doesn't work on, there's usually hair trapped down in there. So if you take where this gray piece is on the back, if you'll take that and you pull it down, you can see it separates the blade.
And then you blow on it really hard.
You can blow on it with a high velocity dryer or your mouth or whatever. But you can take a piece of paper on a blade that you've been using a lot, and you can stick this paper right through. So you're separating the cutting blade, but usually when you do that, there's a strip of hair that comes out, and because this blade is new, it doesn't have it, but there's a strip of hair that comes out, a real fine strip of hair, and that's what's causing it not to cut. So that's
And
what.
you put that back together, then you push down it, right?
Oh, it doesn't come apart. All you do is just push it.
It's just like a little.
Yeah.
Oh, I
But
see.
it
Is
doesn't
that
actually.
the newer one that they put the black back on it?
Yeah, it just has the black back
That's
on it. So.
much better.
Well, you can do that with all of them though, even
Yeah.
the older ones, you can still.
The older ones, you drop them and then.
Yeah, the tab breaks off.
But even if you have, if you drop your clipper or whatever, those have little notch on the back of them that locks in. If you drop your clipper, that notch breaks off, don't throw the blade away, because they'll replace that, they'll replace that black piece.
Yeah, never throw them away. You can send them back to the wall, or some sharpeners can replace that for you. I think they said it was $11 to replace that little bracket. So right now I'm just gonna. What's that?
$5 for 5 blades? No, for a comb.
Oh, for the snap-on. You're talking about the snap-on.
Because I have a problem with the snap-on that they bend. I get these.
The the snap-on, because of the way that they're made, they're stainless steel and the outside teeth on them are stronger, so you have a lot more stability. But the reason why they go through any coat type is because of the width of these. So they do definitely require a little more TLC. If you bang your clipper down, you can bend these teeth. And if you bend them out of whack here, you're gonna hear metal on metal with the, against your blade. So I'm always a little bit more careful. You can actually bend them back, but if you're getting metal on metal, then you've got a bent tooth there.
Like the end ones where that,
Oh, these?
that one, the last one.
Yeah.
They tend to bend. And they just, I'm catching one, I am wearing the.
Oh, yeah. So if you're hooking on something, or if you're going through, a dog with tangles and stuff, which is actually nice, you can actually go through a dog with tangles without it popping off, but,
I know, because I have that kind of.
and again, it's kind of a little bit more TLC. If you're gonna do that, then it is gonna cause a little bit more of a problem, but.
How many people have a hard time keeping these snap-on comb blades clean because they get all that crud? And it's a really good trick. Should I tell them? I did this one day when my wife wasn't home. She would kill me, and she still to this day doesn't know. Put them in that little dishwasher basket, run through the dishwasher. Feel like Granny gets all that stuff off of them. So it doesn't rust or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about that. But men, always do it when your spouse is gone. So now what I'm going to do, keeping with using the snap-on combs, so her body, you can see, I've come down and almost made, like we're trying to show off this hip muscle, so I made an angle right down into that hip, just to show off that muscle. So now what I can do is I can switch from my 0 to an A comb. This is the 3/4 inch snap-on comb. And so I'm just basically working in, my method is to go from short to a little bit longer to the longest. So I'm taking the A comb, I'm just blending this right off. And I'm not actually touching the dog's skin. If you have trouble with doing this because the table gets in the way or whatever, you can pull them over to the edge of the table and then you can come straight off. But you're not going and touching the dog's skin, I'm just skimming. But I'm using the longer blade, so if the dog does jerk or whatever, I make sure I don't cut it too short. That's why I'm using this purple snap-on.